Hi there, it's Kevin with the Rogue Deck Builder here with this week's episode of the Market Monday. So for this week on Market Monday, I'm just going to do the video that I normally do for the Rogue Market, which is where I am tracking the Double Masters prices and talking about what I think is going on. We'll actually mix in some more market news in this video. First off though, let's just jump right into the Double Masters. So we are seeing a huge snapback of Double Masters. You can see here that according to MTG Goldfish, $1,623.90 is now the total value of all the cards that are in Double Masters, which is slightly lower than the highest that it's ever been at 166.8. So I've been keeping track of the sheets. I'll link these sheets in the description below of both the 8-7 updates. So this is the sheets where I filled in all the cards and what they're worth on the 7th of August, and I've actually done an update for the 10th of August. So these are actually separate sheets because I want people to be able to compare and contrast here. It's pretty easy just to click between the tabs and see how much of an increase these cards have increased. According to Dawn Glare, it's been quite the jump. You can see that its low is around $260, $250, and it's already gone back up to $320 for the average value you'll get out of a Double Masters. So these prices are actually looking pretty good on eBay and TCG Player for sealed boxes. It just seems like the market is handling this better than I even thought that it would. Now, my original prediction, and if I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong, but I still think that the market cannot handle this and it was too soon. And I proved that, well, in my opinion, proved that with how cards were faring before the printing of Double Masters, where most cards in Magic the Gathering were trending down. Now, this has been a weird year for Magic the Gathering. Usually summer, you see across the board just the market goes down. Nobody is playing Magic as much, and the prices for single cards just tank. And then we see them start to recoup in about September, October, and then you have a really good buying spree all the way from September to where tax returns come in to about March, April. And then rinse and repeat, you see the market go down, and this is cyclical every year. Of course, the pandemic threw a wrench into everything, and the Trump money threw a wrench in everything, and the inflation threw a wrench in everything. And what I think is going on after hearing like the 10th customer in a row tell me that they were going to go out to a restaurant, or were going to go on vacation, or were going to go out to see some movies, but instead those trips have been canceled, and they put their money into collectibles instead. And we've seen Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon and even other things like lawn stuff you put in your yard, like trampolines, and that market is crazy right now. I bought a pizza oven. They sold out of pizza ovens because people just had excess money and weren't going out to eat, and we're buying these barbecues and pizza ovens and things like that. So I think this has a huge impact on now what we're seeing with Double Masters is there's just so much money going around that people have excess to be throwing at collectibles, which is crazy too, because it's very worrisome that people are, instead of preparing for something that could, a very, very real economic collapse that could happen, people are throwing their money at collectibles, which is a very, very bad sign. But we won't get into those, I guess, sort of on the verge of political speech here of what I feel about this. I think what's going on more than anything is FOMO. This is FOMO in action with the Double Masters. FOMO, fear of missing out. And I think there are a couple, I've heard of a couple of finance channels that have been really stoking the flames for you better get your cards now, you better get your cards now. So I run a Discord with people that are very market oriented. What I do on Patreon is I allow people to buy from me at distributor pricing. So basically just pay a subscription fee for Patreon, and you're allowed different amounts of sealed product per month that you can buy. It's just money up front. You pay me money up front. I order, then send you the stuff at distributor cost. That's just the best way of doing business in the way of uncertainty with brick and mortars. I'm not allowed through Amazon and eBay and all these other stores to make a profit on my brick and mortar, so I might as well make a profit via things like Patreon. Anyway, so one of the things I do is run this finance channel. It's got a lot of finance-oriented people that are also a part of other Discords and other Cabal's, other places that are kind of the underground for the MG Finance. And they have reported that the fear of missing out is very real in those circles, and it has led to a buying spree. We also had Tulane Community College post a video of basically saying, don't buy booster boxes, buy singles, buy singles. And he also was talking about the cheap prices you can get in on now. So I think that had a huge impact. If you look at most of these cards from, let's just take like a mid-tier one, they're sold out right now of Card Kingdom. So Card Kingdom, you can see, had this really low price, comparatively speaking, like Land Tax. They had 8 copies of Land Tax. They are now sold out of Land Tax. And I really think that was the Tulane Community College video that sparked them buying specifically from Card Kingdom, because that's where the affiliate link goes to. And people are like, wow, that is a cheap price. Snap, 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 snap. And is being purchased up. I am going to give my strongest warning about this FOMO. Now, again, I could be wrong. Maybe the effect of people just having too much money and usually spending it on vacations and spending it on going out to eat and going to movies and all those things that usually happen in the summer is instead being put towards hobbies that could, make up for all this. But what I really think, with all the other factors in hand, that the rest of Magic was not going up when Double Masters was spoiled. It was going down. Cards with Land Taxes were starting to level off and actually go down. I'm thinking that this FOMO is exactly that, is people fear of missing out on these low prices, and we're going to see a snapback of the FOMO. So what happened with Ultimate Masters, let's actually go and look at Ultimate Masters here. So if we go to prices, price list, and go look at like Ultimate Masters box toppers. So this is a very good example of what happened during Ultimate Masters. This similar thing happened right about here with, come on, Goldfish, go back further than that. Sometimes it doesn't pop up the entire, I'm in Double Masters, derp. I clicked on prices for Double Masters. Let's see here. Let's go prices, price list, special sets, Ultimate Masters. There we go. Click on the right one here. If you actually see, this exact same thing happened with a little bit of a snapback when Ultimate Masters crashed about the exact same time. So it was released here, and then it crashed because everyone put their supply on, and we had a little bit of a snapback. And this is actually bigger than it wants to show, because I remember this happening too, and I had the exact same call out on my YouTube channel right here as these hit the low, and then had this snapback up, and it was more up like long lines of here. There's a little bit of lag with Goldfish, with like market price and mid of things that actually, how it actually reads it, because you'll read stuff with like $7 shipping and whatnot. So anyway, there was this snapback from the low at $9.25. It went back up to about $10.25, so $1,000 or $100 increase within a day. And then you can see that this just slowly stagnated and declined all the way here. Had a little bit of a resurgence when Magic was big during this War of the Spark time period, and then decline. So I'm expecting this exact same thing to happen with Double Masters. Is people really got into Double Masters thinking, oh, this is going to be low, and then it's going to go back up to these prices where it's going to increase. Look how stagnant this set has been. Had a little bit of a increase here when Commander cards across the board started to go up in value around when the Trump money got into effect of the economy, but even it was starting to stagnate off before Ultimate Masters reprinted many of these cards. So that is where I am going to warn you about especially competitive cards, because Ultimate Masters competitive cards never recovered. Look at things like the Goyf. It never recovered. So you got to put like the Dark Confidant in this category, the Karn Liberated in this category. Those type of cards never recovered from Ultimate Masters. What did recover from Ultimate Masters was more of the EDH cards, especially cards like the Phyrexian Altar. This was a card that had a massive recovery, but it didn't really recover from January all the way to October. It stayed stagnant. So what I'm saying is you have time. You have time to look for deals for these particular cards before the demand will actually outstretch the supply. And I'm thinking this is going to be longer than Ultimate Master, or for Double Masters than Ultimate Masters, because it was just too much supply. Ultimate Masters didn't have VIP packs. Ultimate Masters did have big box stores, but not the amount that is going to the big box stores. And so I think that this is going to be even higher supply then Ultimate Masters, which took a long time even for the hottest of hot cards to start to increase in value. So you have time to look for those deals. So that is just my 2 cents regarding this snapback from Ultimate Masters. It does seem to be causing a kind of a bull market across the board through Magic the Gathering. Keep in mind there's still Jumpstart that's going to be re-released, and there's still Zendikar that I think is going to take the focus off Ultimate Masters and will be the new hotness that everyone's going to have to invest in Zendikar Collector's Editions when the fetch lands are spoiled in Zendikar Collector's Editions. So that's going to then take all the focus on all these cheap or all these old or double master cards, and then focus it on people just throwing all their money at those collector's editions, and then we'll see prices go down for the double masters cards. So across the board, though, like if you look at Pioneer, there are some worrisome. Usually, what you can see the how the market's doing, where if this column is greater than this column, the market's usually doing good. But what we're seeing is cards that weren't even affected in like the Chain Veil, Zakama. These are Brahmas. These were cards that were going up. These are actually starting to go down. I don't know. Some of these had mystery printings. That could also be the issue with these cards, is they're coming down to their mystery prices. But these aren't the weekly change where the highest Pioneer card only goes up by $1. That's pretty bad for a weekly change for Pioneer. You can actually look over at Modern too. There are some from Modern that have gone up a little bit better from these particular ones, like Caverns of Souls, Crucible, these type of cards too. But this is pretty even with the cards that have been going down versus the cards going up. And again, it's cards that a lot of these haven't even been reprinted, like the Kozilek, Anti-Sevel. These ones have, though, but even fetch lines starting to go down. I think fetch lines are going down in anticipation of that reprint, but many of these other cards are starting to go down across the board. So it's not a good sign. I've noticed like particular cards when I was people. One of the things that probably the most lucrative thing of owning a local game store is people are a lot, especially the Timmies. A lot of the Commander players, especially, don't have the best self-control. Don't have the best so they need cards now. They build a Commander deck and they need it now. So they don't want to wait. So they don't look for deals. They don't really care about waiting till they have money to actually afford these cards. So what they'll do is they'll cannibalize their other cards to buy the new hotness. So what I've been noticing is people trading in these massive amount of cards, cannibalizing these cards, and seeing some of the lowest prices I've ever seen with, and it's really starking. I think one of them was Thassa that I was looking for original Thassa from Theros. So we go to Theros. Where is old school Thassa? Thassa, God of the Sea from Theros. This was a card that I noticed had a TCG low compared to TCG mid was huge. So I end up letting sometimes we'll match like 50% of TCG mid, sometimes we'll go off market. But some of these cards, when we were looking at the actual prices of Thassa, so it says it's worth $13. Now again, this didn't have anything but a secret layer that is affecting this price. So yes, it's been going down when that secret layer was reprinted, but this should be stabilizing off in the secret layer. If we go over to market price for even a card like this, we were finding like $8 for, the low was very, very, the contrast of the low between even market and mid was huge, which means none of these have sold. If TCG player is still saying the market price is $11 for Thassa, but you see an entire page of under that market price, that means no one has purchased a Thassa's Oracle, or a Thassa God of the Sea in this time period, which means that that's even a worse sign for this card. When more of these cards get put onto the market, the market price should have a huge snapback. When a few of these cards actually do sell, we're going to see the market price go way down to like $8. And that's a massive price. When you're looking at like a 40% difference between market price and mid, that just means there are too many cards that are listed on mid that they haven't updated the price. And eventually they will update the price. And this is going to continue to just decline. So that's what I've been seeing with many cards. Just wasn't Thassa God of the Sea. No, a few other metrics too, like Ikoria Collector's Edition cards, Throne of Eldraine Collector's Edition cards, even Core 2021 collectors, Core 2021 foils. There have been a lot of these cards that we're holding pretty high that have had massive snapbacks since Double Masters, and it's just showing that the market is adjusting. It's leading people to cannibalize these type of cards and trying to pick up these other cards they think are going to go up in value, and that's what I'm warning against. I don't think that is going to be what the scenario that's going to happen. I think we're going to see a snapback again of this starting to go down. It might not go back down to 1372. Eventually it will, as we saw with the Ultimate Masters, where this wasn't the low of Ultimate Masters. It was actually 6 months later, a year later, that we saw the price go down about $900 for the set and actually go down further from this low of the original, fall of the original stock getting up. So that, again, that is my opinion of what's going to happen. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at where things were a couple of days ago. You can see that the prices went all the way down to the $1,070.50 for relevant cards. It would have put it near the 65% of the 2-year low. The total value of the 2-year low is $1,549, and we're getting close to that 65%, is where looking at the sets from the past, that's typically where they bottom out. As you can take the 2-year low of a card, and then when it gets reprinted, it goes about 65% of that 2-year low. Not 65% of where it was at before it was reprinted, but 65% of where the 2-year low was of that card. So we were nearing that, and the total percentage of the set compared to the cards compared to where they were at before they were reprinted was 44.7. So it decreased more than 50%, which was a pretty bad sign for the set. Where is it at today? So what has the FOMO done? So the FOMO has now increased it back up to 53.22%. The total value is of the current thing is up to $1,281. So 1,281.5 is where it's at right now. So we saw an increase of $150, more over. So we saw 210. I can do math. $210 value increase to the total. I did add one card. I had a Pure Steel Paladin to the mix, so that's going to affect the prices a little bit. But you can see that this was a huge increase of the price, almost a 9% increase within a few days. The average Mythic went from 20 to 24. That's really where the price increase saw the biggest gains, was these higher end Mythics. So if we can compare a few of the cards, so cards like Blightsteel Colossus, for example, went down all the way to $35, and now we saw this go up about $7. Force of Will went from 84 to 98. We've had cards like Jason the Mind Sculptor increase back in price from 57 to 63. And you can just, I'm not going to show too many of these. You can just go over here and make the comparison. Another metric that did really well is some of the rares that actually have demand other than competitive play. So you saw cards like Toxic Deluge go back up in value. Stoneforge Mystic went up a whopping, I believe it was $6, or even higher than that, I think, from where it went with the low. And all of the lands went up about $1, at least $1. So the Rugged Prairie type cycles all went up at least about $1. There were some cards, though, like the ones that are still faring pretty poorly, are going to be the cards that were reprinted in either Mystery or Jumpstart. Those did not go back up or did not have a snapback. And many of them that had box toppers, like Goblin Guide, actually went down in value. So Goblin Guide in the other sheets was $6. It's already gone. It went down another $1. So that card is not faring well. So again, competitive cards, especially ones that are box toppers, I think are the ones you really want to avoid. And I think we should see this FOMO start to settle off. I mean, people purchase the cards. They can't purchase them again. I mean, that's the whole point with it. And I actually do think that a lot of this was the hand of the MTG quote-unquote investors, the quote-unquote finance people. I've never really thought that many of them were good at what they did. A lot of their, some of these bigger name MTG financiers are predictions of what ends up happening with some of these people. I won't name names here, but I'm sure you can do some deductive, especially these big Twitter personalities, is they make 1,000 predictions. So they say blah, 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 blah. In fact, a lot of times they take bull stances. And then when it actually comes true, they see, I told you so. See, look, I told you it was going to go down. I told you it was going to go up. And then, it's the best of both worlds because no matter what happens, then they're right. So they also cause a lot of panic buying, a lot of FOMO. And like I said, the Tulare Community College video didn't help with the prices going down. He directed everyone from buying 2XM to then going and buying singles, which, 100,000 views on that particular video is absolutely going to have an effect on the market, and it's going to cause this runaway buying spree of people, just fear of missing out of these lows. So be patient. That is my opinion. That is my advice to you. Take it for what it's worth. Ultimate Masters went exactly. This is just verbatim of how Ultimate Masters had that snapback and how it took 6, 8, 10 months to recover. And not only that, it affected the entire market. We still have secret layers that are re-announced. There will be a secret layer at the start of next month, which is going to be pretty juicy from my sources. There's going to be Commander Legends. There's going to be Commander Green. There's going to be Zendikar Collector's Editions. They're less than a month away. Well, actually a little more than a month away. There are still like things like Chandra spellbooks that are rotting on the shelves that showed that you can't print $45 worth of cards and put it in something that costs $20 and expect it to hold $45 worth of cards. The same is going to be true for many of these sets. We still have like Ikoria and Theros Collector's Editions that are being flooded back on the market. We still have mystery booster boxes being trickled in. We still have Jumpstart that needs to have 2/3 of its original wave to come back in it to print. Now, what happened with that was the Texas printers. The Texas printers got shut down. They ended up scrapping a bunch of product because there was so much defective product. You saw Jumpstart round 1 having massive product defects. We saw some other things from like Core 2021. That was a Texas printer. The Texas printer was having massive problems with printing. So they took it offline and they fixed it, and hopefully it's now back up and running, and that is going to start, going purr, and the jump start's going to flood back into the market. So what I'm saying is things cannot hold. They cannot hold. If I'm wrong, I'll admit it. And if I'm wrong, that just shows, wow, that just shows inflation and economy as a whole, that it's just going to have that snapback effect. And I don't think the Magic is going to be able to dodge that bullet. I think across the board, we're in for some rough times if that's what's going on. There's just too much money going around with too much inactivity to justify that amount of money. And anyway, I could talk about this. I'm losing my voice from talking so much about this. I'm going to go get a drink, take a break, and be looking for like an update video as well on my Rogue Market channel where I'll be keeping an eye on this. Again, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll admit it. I'm absolutely will bite the bullet and eat a sock if this ends up not coming how I think it comes. Let me address to the comments. Holy cow. The comments on my Rogue Market channel, whoever linked it to some sort of wherever it got the views from, people that just don't understand economics too, or understand that I'm just an analysis channel. I don't have an opinion on where cards go. I could care less. I actually did not have many of these cards before they're reprinted. The best thing ever for me personally is if these cards if these cards crash. Well, kind of a little bit of on both worlds. I don't want the cards to crash because this is a collectible card game and they have to sell product. If cards crash to a point where this is just Chronicles 2.0, that's going to mean that no one is going to buy future sets. And if no one is buying future sets, you better believe that people are going to quit the game. They're going to get frustrated and quit the game. That's not good for the game, people. Cheap prices, yes, can be good for a few commander decks here and there where people get to pick up snap of cards. But cheap cards means that the faith in the market, the faith in the game is lowering, meaning less people are playing, which is not good for the game. So I got just comment after comment after comment of like all these ones like Trust Fund Baby complaining about prices decreasing. No, I grinded my brick and mortar by buying and selling cards, and it was just typical buy low, sell high. I actually love low prices. This is just a wet dream for someone like me to see these prices in cards crash. I owned 0 doubling seasons, 0 Jason the Mind Sculptors, 0 Mox Opals, 0 Karn Liberated. I think the only card that I really got crushed on from Double Masters was that Atramis, I think is what it's called. It's that Simic commander from Commander 2018, I believe, where I had quite a bit of stock of that I hadn't moved yet. And all these other cards, I moved. That's what you do in MTG Finance. You buy low, sell high. You don't hold on to Jason the Mind Sculptors when they hit $100. You sell them. You don't hold Force of Wills when they hit $130. You sell them. So all of this is just going to refill my inventory when they're low. So yes, people, the dirty financiers like me are actually making out like a bandit when they have low cards. I had no commander decks either, no modern decks. I'd already sold them all by the time that Double Masters came out. So us trust fund babies, which I'm not a trust fund baby by the way, us MTG financiers are going to make out like bandits. It is you, the people that are collecting. It is you, the people that have EDH decks and modern decks, that are ones going to have your collection halved in value, and you're the ones that are going to get hurt by this. It's you that are buying the boxes that are in anticipation of like collecting this product. They're the ones that are going to get hurt the most. People in the finance industry, we adjust. We don't stay stagnant. Lows, bear markets are good, bull markets are good. All of the above is good because we find those little niches and angles to actually make that profit. You, the casual, you, the Timmy, you, the 9-to-5er, are the ones that are going to get hurt the most. So yeah, keep commenting it, keep saying that these sort of stuff. I don't know why I'm addressing it because it's not going to go in their thick skulls. I doubt they even watch the videos. They just click on the title because yes, I do a little bit of a clickbaity title, and then write their comment and then move on. I mean, that's a Timmy in a nutshell. They don't understand simple supply and demand. They don't understand economics. It's why our economy is going in the tank. It's why, we're seeing, not to get too political, but we're seeing a lot of these like UBI and universal other stuff just creep into our economy. If you've ever lived in low poverty like I have, you'll probably understand that's probably the worst thing in the world to give people that are in that sort of mindset, free money because they just blow it on just stupid things and waste and stuff like that. So I won't get too political, but yeah, it's these comments are getting just absolutely ridiculous at this point. And it might be triggering me to a little bit of effect, but you're the real losers. You are the ones that are losing out. No one in MTG Finance has lost unless they're, like I said, with the quotations, an MTG financer that just sits on cards and never sells. But who does that? I mean, sure, if you do that, you do that. Anyway, I'll address that, and then we'll move on from that topic. And you can keep up with this at the Rogue Market channel. Anyway, this has been Kevin with the Rogue Deck Builder. Thanks for watching.